Faith isn't something you hold only when everything's going your way. It's not the result of smooth days or perfect plans. Faith shows up in the cracks, in the chaos, in the moments when your heart whispers, "This doesn't make sense," but you keep walking anyway. Real faith begins when sight ends. When you can't see the path ahead, but you still take that step. Sometimes life blinds you on purpose, not to punish you, but to push you. Because if you could see the outcome, you wouldn't need faith. You'd need a schedule. But God doesn't work on schedules. He works on seasons. Seasons where everything seems cold, confusing, and quiet, yet something deep inside you keeps saying, "Don't stop. Keep going." There will be days when your prayers feel like echoes, when it feels like heaven is silent. That silence isn't absence. It's alignment. God's not ignoring you. He's preparing the ground for the miracle. And if you quit too soon, you'll never see what He was building behind the curtain. Faith is what keeps you standing when logic tells you to sit down. It's what makes you smile through tears, what pushes you to rise one more time after 1,000 falls. Faith doesn't always look strong. Sometimes it looks like trembling hands and tearful eyes that still choose to believe. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need the map. You just need to trust the maker of the map. The path may twist, the journey may hurt, but faith says, "Even here, I'm not alone." And when you start walking with that mindset, every valley becomes a classroom for growth. Faith isn't a guarantee that you'll get what you want. It's the strength to handle whatever comes your way. It's trusting that even if it doesn't happen your way, it's still happening for your good. Because the author of your story doesn't make mistakes. He makes meaning out of messes. So when you can't see how it will work out, don't stop trusting. Because the moment you think it's over is often the moment God starts turning the page. We've all had doors slammed in our faces, jobs we didn't get, people who walked away, dreams that seemed to die before they had a chance to live. And in those moments, it's easy to think that rejection means failure. But sometimes rejection is just direction. The door that closes isn't your ending, it's your redirection. God isn't denying you, He's detouring you. That closed door might be His way of saying, "There's something better ahead, but you wouldn't go there if I didn't close this one." So, instead of fighting the door, thank God for what's on the other side. You see, we pray for open doors, but we forget that closed doors are blessings too. They protect us from walking into rooms we're not ready for. They save us from opportunities that would drain our spirit. They keep us from settling for less when we were meant for more. Sometimes, God doesn't open the door because He wants you to realize you were never meant to knock on that one in the first place. He's preparing something custom-made, something that fits your spirit, not just your plans. But it hurts, doesn't it? Watching something you wanted slip away. It feels unfair, confusing, and painful. Yet, that's often where growth begins, when we learn to trust that God doesn't take without purpose. Every no is a setup for a greater wise. And when the time comes, you'll look back and realize that door had to close. Because if it hadn't, you'd never have walked into the life you're meant to live. Closed doors are proof that God's vision for you is higher than yours. So when one door shuts, don't stare at it too long. Lift your eyes, because the carpenter of heaven is already building a new one. We live in a world obsessed with speed, instant results, instant answers, instant success. But God doesn't work in instant. He works intentionally. When it feels like everything is taking too long, it's easy to think He's forgotten you. But He hasn't. He's protecting you from what you can't see yet. Delays are not punishment, they're preparation. Sometimes you're not waiting for the blessing. The blessing is waiting for you to be ready. Because God won't give you something that your character can't carry yet. He's developing your patience, your perspective, your faith. Some blessings would crush you if they came too soon. That's why God pauses the plan, not to hurt you, but to strengthen you. Every delay builds something in you that quick success never could: endurance, wisdom, humility. You might be praying, "God, when will it happen?" And He's answering, when you're ready to handle it. His timing isn't slow, it's strategic. He's aligning people, opportunities, and lessons all at once, so when it happens, it lasts. We often mistake silence for neglect, but God's silence is a signal that He's still moving behind the scenes. You just can't see it yet. And maybe that's how it's supposed to be, because if you could see it, you might try to control it. So, when it feels like nothing's moving, Remember this, a seed doesn't grow in a day. It takes time, darkness, and patience. The delay isn't a dead end, it's divine timing unfolding. Keep trusting through the wait, because when it finally happens, it'll make sense why it took so long. We spend so much of life trying to understand why. Why this pain, why this delay, why this struggle? But sometimes, understanding isn't what we need, trust is. Because if you could see everything God sees, you'd never doubt Him again. God's plan often looks like chaos before it looks like clarity. He doesn't hand you the blueprint, He hands you the next step. And that's hard for us because we want control. We want guarantees. But faith doesn't live in control, it lives in surrender. You might not understand what's happening right now, but that doesn't mean it's not working for your good. God's plans are layered, connected, and beyond human comprehension. He's writing a masterpiece with moments you don't even realize are brushstrokes. It's easy to trust when everything makes sense. But true trust is built when it doesn't. When the pieces don't fit, when the road is dark, when all you have left is belief. That's when your heart learns that God doesn't need your understanding. He needs your trust. Every unanswered prayer is either protection or preparation. You might think you lost something, but maybe you were saved from something worse. God doesn't owe explanations because His wisdom is infinite and His love is unconditional. When life feels like a puzzle missing pieces, remember, you're not the one putting it together. You're the one living it. And one day, when you look back, it'll all make perfect sense. You'll see how every detour, every delay, every heartbreak was leading you right to where you were meant to be. So stop trying to understand everything. Begin to trust that even in the midst of confusion, God remains in control. Pain has a way of making you question everything. It makes you wonder if you did something wrong, if you're being punished, if you somehow failed the test. But pain isn't God's way of hurting you. It's His way of training you. Every scar, every tear, every sleepless night is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and deeper. You're not being broken down, you're being built up. Sometimes, God allows pain to strip away what was never meant to stay. Because growth and comfort don't live in the same house. Pain moves you, shakes you, forces you to see life differently. It wakes you up to your strength. It teaches you empathy. It prepares you for the very things you once thought you couldn't handle. You see, we often pray for purpose, but purpose doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in trials that teach you how to carry the weight of what you've been called to do. The storm you're in isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's God saying, I'm building resilience in you that comfort never could. Every person who has ever achieved greatness walked through fire first. You don't get to the mountaintop without surviving the climb. The pain you're feeling now is not wasted. It's the gym where your soul learns endurance. It's where faith turns from words into experience, from belief into evidence. Sometimes the pain isn't even about you. It's about what you'll be able to do for others because of it. The compassion you'll gain, the strength you'll share, the testimony you'll carry. You can't lead people out of storms you've never been through yourself. God uses your wounds as wisdom for someone else's healing. And the truth is, pain changes your perspective. What used to shake you now teaches you. What used to break you now builds you. Because pain reveals what's real. It shows you who you are, what you're made of, and who's truly in control. It reminds you that your story isn't over. It's being refined. So don't curse the pain. Learn from it. Let it mold you, not define you. Because one day you'll look back and realize that what hurt you the most was also what prepared you the best. God wasn't punishing you. He was positioning you. The pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to develop you. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. But the truth is, not everyone is meant to stay forever. Some arrive to teach you, some to test you, and a few to transform you. And when their chapter ends, it doesn't mean you failed. It means the story is moving forward. God never removes anyone from your life unless their purpose in your story has been fulfilled. It hurts when people leave. It hurts when you give your all and they still walk away. You replay the conversations, the memories, the promises, wondering what went wrong. But sometimes nothing went wrong. Sometimes God just knows what you can't see yet. He knows that keeping them in your future would block the blessing that's coming next. We tend to chase people who were never meant to stay. We cling to connections that were only meant to carry us for a season. But when you try to keep someone past their expiration date, You end up holding on to pain that was never meant to last. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you finally trust that God knows who belongs in your next chapter. Every goodbye is a hidden blessing. It clears the space for new growth, new peace, new alignment. If they left, they weren't meant to carry the weight of where you're going. Not everyone can go with you. Some people are only equipped for the version of you they met, not the one you're becoming. And that's okay. Growth always creates distance. The ones who walk away often leave behind something valuable. Clarity. Their absence teaches you who you are without them. It shows you that your worth isn't defined by who stays, but by how you rise after they leave. You learn that closure doesn't always come from conversation. Sometimes it comes from peace. And maybe, just maybe, their leaving was part of the plan all along. Because if they hadn't left, you might have never discovered your strength, your voice, or your purpose. Sometimes God removes people not to hurt you, but to protect you from what they would have cost you down the line. He ends certain relationships to begin your restoration. So, stop asking why they left and start thanking God that you're still standing. You're not losing, you're evolving. Every person who walks away makes room for someone who will walk in and stay. Their chapter is over, but your story is far from finished. Trust the author. He knows exactly who belongs in the next scene. There's a reason why your breakthrough hasn't gone public yet. There's a reason why you feel unseen, unheard, unnoticed, even when you're giving your best. It's because God does his deepest work in silence. He's not ignoring you, he's developing you. You're in the workshop right now, being shaped, refined, and prepared for something greater than you can imagine. The quiet seasons are the hardest because they feel empty. You pray, and there's no response. You move, and nothing seems to happen. But in that stillness, something powerful is being built inside you. God is strengthening your character where no one can see it. He's teaching you patience, humility, and resilience, the kind that can't be faked when the spotlight finally shines. You see, public strength is born in private struggle. The people who seem unshakable in front of the world are the ones who've cried behind closed doors. You can't be trusted with influence until you've learned to be faithful in obscurity. The silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. God hides you to heal you before he reveals you. When nothing seems to be happening, that's when everything is happening. The seed doesn't sprout while you're watching. It breaks underground, in the dark, where no one can applaud it. That's you right now. You're growing roots that will hold up the future you're praying for. Don't despise this hidden season. It's your foundation. There's a kind of strength that only silence can build. The strength to stay calm when storms hit, to stay kind when life's unfair, to stay faithful when results don't show. These aren't traits you can learn in comfort. They're learned when you're alone, when you have nothing but faith to hold on to, when your only audience is God himself. And here's the truth. When the time comes, when he finally brings you into the light, people will call it an overnight success. They'll say, you came out of nowhere. But you'll know, you didn't come out of nowhere. You came out of nowhere to them, but out of God's training ground to you. Every silent night, every hidden tear, every unseen effort, it was all part of the design. So if you feel invisible right now, don't let that discourage you. Let it inspire you. You're not being forgotten. You're being formed. God is crafting the version of you that can handle the stage, the pressure, the calling. You are being shaped in silence so that when it's time to speak, your words carry weight. The darkest moments in your life are not the end of your story. They're the birthplace of transformation. When everything around you collapses, when you've got nothing left to hold on to but faith, that's when something begins to shift inside you. It's in the darkness where light is born. It's in the pain where purpose starts to form. And it's in those nights of tears that God begins crafting the dawn you've been praying for. We all want the breakthrough without the breakdown, but it doesn't work that way. Diamonds are made under pressure. Gold is refined in fire. And souls are strengthened through struggle. You don't grow in the sunlight of comfort. You grow in the shadows of challenge. Darkness isn't the absence of God. It's the canvas where he paints his greatest miracles. When you hit rock bottom, you start to see things differently. The noise fades. The distractions disappear. And you finally realize that the only light you need is the one inside you, the one God placed there long before the world tried to dim it. That's why the enemy fights you hardest when you're closest to the breakthrough. because he knows that once you rise from this, you'll never be the same again. In those seasons when nothing makes sense, when it feels like you've lost everything, that's where faith becomes real. You stop talking about faith and start living from it. You learn to breathe through the pain, to trust through the silence, to move even when you can't see. And that movement, that decision to keep going, is what unlocks the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Your darkest moment isn't a dead end. It's the delivery room of your destiny. The same way a seed must die in the soil before it can grow, something in you has to break before new life can begin. The pain you're feeling isn't the sign of something ending, it's the sign of something being born. You're not breaking down, you're breaking through. And when the light finally breaks through, when the pieces start coming together, you'll look back and realize the darkness didn't destroy you, it developed you. It stripped away everything fake, everything shallow, everything temporary, until all that was left was strength, clarity, and purpose. The darkness taught you what the daylight never could. So when you find yourself in the middle of that dark place, don't curse it. Don't rush it. Embrace it. Because the same God who allowed the night will send the sunrise. Your breakthrough isn't coming after the darkness. It's being born inside it. Keep holding on, because the light you're waiting for is already on its way. There will be seasons in your life when it feels like no one notices your effort. You show up every day, you give your best, and it seems like nothing changes. No applause, no progress, no recognition. You start to wonder, does any of this even matter? But let me tell you something. It does. Because even when the world doesn't see you, God does. Every step, every tear, every prayer, every sacrifice, He sees it all. It's easy to show up when people are watching. It's easy to stay motivated when others are cheering for you. But true faith is built in the moments when you keep showing up without an audience. That's when your commitment is tested. That's when God smiles and says, now I can trust you with more. Because what you do in private determines what He reveals in public. Some people will never understand the battles you fight behind the scenes. They see your smile, but not your struggle. They see the results, but not the resilience it took to get there. But God does. He sees the nights you couldn't sleep, the times you wanted to quit, the moments you chose faith over fear. And every one of those moments is being recorded in eternity, not wasted, but woven into your destiny. Sometimes it feels unfair. You watch others rise while you stay stuck in the same place. You wonder if you're doing something wrong. But maybe you're not stuck. Maybe you're being stored. God's keeping you hidden until the time is right, until your heart is ready, until your faith can handle the weight of what's coming. The delay isn't denial. It's divine timing, preparing your platform behind the curtain. Keep showing up in the small things. Keep showing up in prayer. Keep showing up for your dreams, for your family, for yourself. Because consistency builds credibility. Every time you choose to rise, you're sending a message to heaven. I trust you, even when I can't see you. And God always honors that kind of faith. Don't let invisibility convince you that you're insignificant. Some of the greatest victories happen where no one is watching. The caterpillar's transformation doesn't happen on stage, it happens in the cocoon. In silence, in patience, in faith. And when it emerges, it doesn't explain itself. It just flies. You're in your cocoon right now. Stay faithful. The wings are coming. So keep showing up, not for the crowd, not for validation, but for the one who called you. Because the truth is, God sees you. He sees your heart, your grind, your pain, your purpose. And when the time is right, He'll make sure the world sees you too, not for your glory, but for His. There comes a point in life where everything around you screams, it's over. You've tried everything, prayed every prayer, knocked on every door, and all you're met with is silence. The path looks blocked, the opportunities seem gone, and your heart feels empty. But that's exactly where God does His best work, right at the edge of impossible. Because where your power ends, His begins. When there is no way forward, He creates one. You see, God doesn't need favorable conditions to move. He doesn't need permission, connections, or approval. He's not limited by your resources or your reality. When He decides it's time, He can turn a dead end into a doorway, a valley into a victory, and a storm into a stage for His glory. He doesn't need a way to exist. He is the way. Think about it. Every miracle in history started with an impossible situation. The Red Sea didn't part until Moses stood with nothing left but faith. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until people shouted before they saw results. The stone didn't roll away until everyone believed it was over. That's the pattern of divine power. When life says, there's no way, God whispers, watch me. Sometimes he lets the way close just to show you that he can open one that never existed before. Because if you could do it yourself, you wouldn't need him. He lets you face the impossible so you'll know who's really in control. The impossibility is not the enemy. It's the evidence that something supernatural is about to take place. And maybe right now, you're standing in your own Red Sea moment. You don't see a path, you don't have a plan, and everything in you wants to quit. But hold on, because the same God who made a way for others will make a way for you too. He hasn't forgotten you. He's just setting the stage for your breakthrough. Every closed door, every rejection, every delay, it's all part of a bigger orchestration. You don't have to see how it will work. You just have to believe that it will. Because faith doesn't demand to know the route. It simply trusts the guide. And when you put your trust in him, he'll take you places you never thought you could go, through paths you never even knew existed. So when you stand before the wall, the sea, the storm, or the silence, don't let fear win. Lift your head, take a breath, and remind yourself, God will make a way. Maybe not the way you expected, not the way you planned, but always the way that's best. Because the one who holds the universe in his hands also holds you, and he never fails to finish what he starts.